You ever notice how some guys don't just struggle with dating? They feel like they were never meant to succeed at it. Not unlucky. Not going through a rough phase. I'm talking about guys who genuinely believe the game was rigged from the start. And the scary part? They've got data to back it up. You'll hear things like, "Most women only go for a small percentage of men. Men like me don't get chosen. Statistically, I don't stand a chance." And yeah, on the surface that sounds logical. But here's the part nobody tells you. Statistics don't break men. The story they build around those statistics does. Because once a guy starts believing he's statistically doomed, everything changes. He stops trying, stops improving, stops seeing people as individuals, and starts seeing patterns instead. And that's where things begin to fall apart. Look, I'm not here to lie to you. Dating isn't fair. Attraction isn't a democracy. It's not evenly distributed. And yeah, some traits give you a clear advantage. That's reality. But turning that into a life sentence, that's an entirely different game. Because now you're not just observing the system. You've already decided your ending before it even plays out. And this is where it gets deeper. A lot of guys who feel this way aren't just struggling with dating. They're dealing with rejection, isolation, feeling out of sync with everyone around them. Let me paint you a quick picture. There's a guy, been on dating apps for 2 to 3 years. Barely gets matches. Conversations die fast. Every time he swipes, there's this voice in his head saying, "Statistically, she's not going to pick you anyway." So what happens? He puts in less effort. His energy drops. His vibe feels off, even through a screen. And slowly, that belief starts creating his reality. And this doesn't just happen to average guys. Sometimes the challenge runs even deeper. Now add something like autism spectrum disorder into the mix, where social cues, timing, and connection can already feel different. That's not a small challenge, that's real. But here's the dangerous shift, and pay attention to this. It goes from, "This is harder for me," to, "This is impossible for me." And that one shift, that's where most guys lose. Because when you believe something is impossible, you don't just struggle. You stop showing up as someone worth knowing. Not because you're actually unworthy, but because your behavior starts matching that belief. You become closed off, defensive, disconnected. And ironically, that pushes people away even more. Now it looks like the statistics were right. But what really happened? The belief created the outcome. Let that sink in. A lot of men don't lose because they were never chosen. They lose because they disqualified themselves before anyone else even got the chance. Be honest with yourself for a second. How many times have you already disqualified yourself before anything even started? And I get it. Rejection hits hard. Isolation messes with your head, especially when it keeps happening over and over again. At some point, your brain tries to protect you. It tells you, "Stop caring. Stop trying. None of this matters anyway." But let's be real for a second. That's not power. That's escape. Real power? Staying in the damn game without letting it define your worth. And yeah, maybe your path doesn't look like everyone else's. Maybe it's slower, more selective, less normal. But different doesn't mean doomed. It just means you can't play the same strategy as everyone else. And honestly, that can be an advantage if you use it right. Because the goal was never to be chosen by everyone. It was to be recognized by the right people. And that requires something most men avoid: self-awareness, without self-rejection. Meaning, you understand your weaknesses, but you don't turn them into your identity. You acknowledge your reality, but you don't let it define your future. If you're someone who feels like the odds are stacked against you, fine. Maybe they are. But don't turn low probability into zero chance, because those are not the same thing. And the moment you confuse the two, you don't just lose the game, you walk off the field before it even starts.